Thanks. Thank you so much, everyone. It's so great to see all of you guys here. I'm hoping that because you're here, it means that you are already with a rescue group and you want to make sure that your foster homes are doing everything they're supposed to be doing, and also how do you get more of them. A lot of people have been asking me about this little black cutie here. Her name is Lovey. I just acquired her while sitting in the bar area today. This is why you do not give animals for presents. If it breathes, do not give it as a gift. She was given to a very nice woman on Valentine's Day by an admirer, left on the front porch with the ribbons on her. And said admirer told her, here's your gift. But the person that got her does not want her, obviously. She's not ready for a puppy. So we have our PASS program, which I'm sure many of you are going to go to that presentation. So we took her in through PASS. The person that had her didn't even understand what a puppy is, so she thought it was a bottle baby puppy. So she went to one of our amazing bottle baby fosters who picked her up and said, this is not a bottle baby. So she came here, met me at the bar, and she's going to go to a foster in about an hour and a half. Whenever I get done, the foster's going to meet me here, and off she'll go. So here's another one of our little foster success stories. So I'm going to talk about how to manage a large-scale foster dog program, how to grow it, how to try to save the last group of dogs that we're just not having easy success saving in foster homes. That, of course, is the big dog. We'll also go over what to do with retainment of fosters. How do you deal with hoarding fosters? We all have them. We all know them. And how do we get our animals adopted? And then, of course, data management is so important to fostering, and we'll go over some of the ways that we try to deal with that. I'm only going to speak about an hour. I've asked Emma to tell me when I'm right around an hour. I find that a lot more Q&A time is needed than just me standing up here talking to you guys. So if I go too fast, somebody can kind of raise their hand and say, hey, slow down, I want to hear more about that particular thing. But I also like to leave a lot of time for Q&A with you guys. So for expanding your current foster program, Austin Pets Alive, we've tried multiple different things, and I wanted to talk about the things that have actually worked for us, obviously. So the teen foster program is one that we use. The teen foster program is really beneficial for us because it does get the teenager involved, which we all know then becomes an adult themselves, and possibly they'll stay involved on their own, they'll get their friends involved. But you also gain that family, because when that student moves out, they have empty nest syndrome, and what better way to recover from your empty nest syndrome but than having puppies and kittens and anything else in your home. So I've detailed for you how we do our foster program, how we give the hours for it. It's really, really helpful for the high school students. That's where we get most of ours from. If they're in any kind of program at the high school, choir, they want to go to college and they need to have community service hours. College students, sorority students, and fraternity students need community service hours. And the fraternities are a little difficult because a lot of them live in the frat houses, so you have to be real careful with that. Our screeners are tasked to really try to figure out how many people are living in that particular frat house, because we did have one incident where we had 4 different frat brothers all fostering different animals and found out they were all in the same household. So we'll also go over some tips on how to help. No, not you, you're okay. We'll go over how to make sure that doesn't happen as well. We do make sure that the foster screening is done with the adult in the house, so that said 16-year-old doesn't come home and surprise parent with, look, I have a foster kitty or a puppy. We make sure that mom and dad are on board with it. We make sure that mom and dad understand that ultimately they are the adult, they are responsible for the foster animal, but we also encourage them to make sure that their teenager is the one caring for the animal. They're the ones making sure they're fed overnight, cleaning up after them, socializing them, cuddling them, all of that fun stuff. Obviously, a litter of bottle babies is going to earn you more community service hours than just a puppy like this. A behavior dog, though, we've had some behavior dogs that have required such an amazing amount of hours of care that we've actually put them into the 40-hour segment for hours earned, because there was just so much hands-on training needed. And so some of that stuff we do on a case-by-case basis. And this is just how we decided it could be. Obviously, you and your shelter could say, we have a much easier time with bottle babies. We don't know that we need to work on that as much. We need more help with medical cases, and you can up the hours for the medical cases. We also use social media a ton, I'm sure most people in this room do, to gain fosters. We have created a Facebook page that has really blown up this year. It's our Urgent Animals in Need. We have any animal, we get a list still from Austin Animal Center every day. We get it about 7:15, and it does have animals that are going to possibly be euthanized due to medical or behavioral higher needs than others. And so we've created this urgent Facebook page that we can say, these animals right here are animals that are at risk. It doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be euthanized, but they are at a higher risk, and we need fosters for them. Usually that's because our shelter, the shelter the APA actually runs, is also full, so we can't take this animal. Sometimes it's because it has a medical need that needs to just be in a foster, and other times it's a behavioral need that they are so shut down, so scared being at our shelter is not going to do any good. But we have created a Facebook page. One thing that I really want everybody to always make sure of when creating a Facebook page, make sure somebody is assigned to respond to that page. I've seen other groups have pages that have been created and failed miserably because there was so much anger and hostility posted in the comments about, I wanted to help you, but nobody replied. I didn't know what happened to this animal. Great, you killed this animal because you wouldn't reply to me. What's happened to this animal? And just so much negativity and so much hostility that people start unfollowing those pages, and then you've done yourself no good. So that's something really important. We also use Twitter and Instagram. We're lucky, we have a great marketing team. I don't know how to do Twitter. I thought I could figure it out, but for some reason I can't tweet. So we are very lucky that we have a really good marketing team that knows how to use Twitter, and they do the tweets and the Twitters and all the things that they need to do. I am getting okay at Instagram, so that's good. And then we utilize we have an APA foster home closed group so that our fosters can reach out to each other, ask questions to each other, support each other. We will go ahead and post on that page as well, because sometimes fosters, they unengage themselves from the foster pleas, then all of a sudden theirs is adopted, they forget they're off the foster plea group, but they're still checking the Facebook page. So any way we can find these fosters, we go out there and try to find them. This is our urgent page to plea youth dog in need. This is an example of one of our days. So you would go to our page, and this is what you see on your news feed. Then when you actually click into it, it'll talk to you about each one of those. I'm happy to say that every single one of those dogs in that picture went into a foster home. Trey was just adopted. Manchus is still with us, but it's good. This is good stuff right there. We also have some dogs that we want to make available for swaps. It's scary. You're sitting at home, you're reading about this dog, you don't know enough about the dog. It can be scary. And so we like to have some dogs that are available that we can say to the fosters, hey, look, you have dogs, you have cats, you have kids. Okay, we don't know what said dog at the shelter that has a deadline tomorrow at 3 o'clock is like with those animals. However, we can tell you that Dalton he's great with dogs, and he's okay with cats, but he's a little bit nervous. So if you don't have kids, take Dalton, and then we can save Brisket from the attention list. And that has worked really well for us. We've really been able to get a lot more adult dogs placed into foster homes via swapping them out for another dog, or just the fact that they wanted to take something from the shelter so that they could save any dog. They didn't care who else came off the attention list. They just wanted to know that a life was being saved. So the swappables has been really, really exciting. We do sometimes run out of easy swaps. Right now, I think we only have one easy swappable dog. The rest of them, there's really nothing wrong with them, but maybe they just also can't be with dogs or cats or something like that. We also like to remind everybody that it's super, super, super important for your foster program to celebrate with your fosters the good things that have happened. We need to keep followers engaged. Everybody seems to we're all busy. Everybody's super busy. You get rolling, and all you're doing is save, and everybody forgets to take that celebration time to say, guys, look what y'all did. This picture right here was actually created by Hunter, who's in the back of the room, and it celebrated that 44 lives were saved in 14 days just via foster homes. This is not including everybody that we had enough space that we pulled to our shelter, but 44 dogs in 14 days went to a foster home. And a lot of it was because of the urgent Facebook page. So we really wanted to get that out there and share that with everybody. And we had a lot of huge positive responses from it. And more people turned around and said, okay, well, I fostered that one. It was adopted. Let me go ahead and foster another one. And it just kind of helped the circle keep going. We also suggest foster drives. Foster drives can be fun. You can make them as fun and exciting as you want. I recommend getting with local businesses and seeing if they will donate gift cards, and then you could challenge your fosters to bring in 3 foster families, and for every 3 foster families they bring in that actually take an animal home and foster it, they win a $10 gift card. Things like that. We all like competitions. Set up a competition. Whoever brings in the most fosters, they win a $50 gift card to someone. You just have to get the local businesses, obviously, to donate it, because as nonprofits, nobody has the money to just go out and buy these things on their own. We also have set up mobile foster application and screening processes before at our adoption sites. We've gone to PetSmart and sat out in front of PetSmart right next to our dog's adoption area and said, hey, do you want to foster? You can't adopt one of these guys, but you can open up your home to one. Let's go ahead and do your application right here. Let's get you screened. Let's get you going. We do that a lot during the summertime when kitten season is, at its peak, and there's just not enough kitten foster homes to go around. We'll do a lot of the mobile ones during that time. We also have created foster flyers and have asked people to hang the flyer at work, at your vet's office, anywhere that animals are allowed to be. Bars. People don't think about it, but hanging them on the bars, the toilet stalls in the different bars, you don't have anything else to do when you're in there but look at the wall while you're going to the bathroom, so you might as well look at the flyer that's there. You'd be surprised. People are, they had a drink and they're like, hey, I could foster, and inhibitions are a little lower, and there you go. We've also done some research where we've reached out to vets and trainers and have found some of our better behavior fosters and our medical fosters by going through vet students, vet offices, getting some vet techs on board. And then if you can reach out to any of your local behavioral training programs. Taurus is a big one here in Austin. I think we have 3 or 4 different people from there that are fostering for us. So that also helps, because we're able to know that we have somewhere that our behavior foster could go. We know that when this particular vet tech is taking a very sick bottle baby, that bottle baby is going to be well cared for, and you just get that peace of mind. But it's a good swap out with them too, to work with them. Both these ladies in this photo were adopted. Both came in just like that. Neither one lived very long after adoption, but they were known hospice when they were adopted, so it's awesome. Retainment of current fosterers. That's a tough one, we all know. It's hard. Fostering is hard. Rescuing is hard. And sometimes the fosters, they're in it for one animal and they can't do it anymore. Or they've been with us forever and then they move. That's the hardest one. Or sometimes they adopt their foster and then we lose them. That's also a tough one. We have worked really hard at APA to not become so big that we forget who our fosters are. We need to make sure that we are available to our fosters. So I receive IMs and text messages and personal phone calls at many hours of the day, not suggesting that any of y'all need to make sure you do the same. But you don't want to forget who your fosters are. Foster socials are a big thing. The fosters can feel appreciated. Foster just thank you emails, foster flyers. You can do monthly newsletters, anything to make sure that your current fosters are feeling like they're supported, they're appreciated, and to just continue to get them to buy back into the program. We, like I said, we do that foster family closed Facebook page where they can actually support each other, because there's too many fosters for just the volunteers and the staff to be supportive of. It's really nice for them to have this Facebook page where they can converse with each other, support each other on the issues. We do monitor the posts to make sure that we don't have any name-calling, ugliness going back and forth, or that there's not an emergency situation being posted about that only fosters are giving responses to. That way we can jump in if we need to. So we do have monitors for the pages, and we make sure that everything's legitimate happening there. Foster workshops is another big one. We are really working hard at getting these up and running more frequently. We really think that if you can do them quarterly, you're going to have a lot better success with your foster homes. When we've done them, what we have set up is kind of a round table type thing where we'll have photo marketing in one area, bio writing in one area, behavior eval in another area, and medical in another area. So we can, in one fell swoop of a workshop, get current pictures, current video, current behavior assessment, and make sure everybody's current on preventatives, monthly, yearly, anything that they need, as well as have somebody, a guest speaker, come in and just present about fostering. Compassion fatigue is something you could talk about with fosters. Marketing creatively is another thing. Just anything. Bottle baby, if it's bottle baby season, do some bottle baby training. If you're short on medical fosters, get a medical training set up. Any of these different types of things that you can do to really help get some new fosters on board that they could be your current fosters, but they've never thought about doing bottle baby because they didn't realize how easy it was. They don't sleep anyways at night, and man, if they could just get some training on how to do it, then boom, great, here we go, let's show you how to do it. So this one works really good. We also, you can combine this with quarterly educational seminars. So maybe if you've got a group of vet students that are fosters for you, maybe see if you can get a way to have some of that kind of CLEs for them, since we all know that they need that. So there's all kinds of different things that you can try with that. Our issue fosters. This is one that I think a lot of people have problems with, is the hoarding fosters. How do we stop it? The absent fosters, turnover, non-compliant, all of that kind of stuff. We deal with these, and every time we think we have it solved, something else comes up. So we just keep on going through. So I'm going to just tell you some of the things that we've tried to have work. Hoarding fosters, what we have tried to do for this one, we used to find our cat and dog program were so isolated from each other, it wasn't really an issue. But as we've grown so big and we've gotten so many volunteers involved, we have people fostering kittens and puppies all at the same time. And so we found out that we had foster homes that had the 2 cages that they were allowed to have for cats, but then they also would have dogs, and we didn't know that was happening. So we have asked for our foster managers and our foster placement teams to work with each other within the programs, the cat and dog programs, share their spreadsheets, and actually go through and before making a placement, make sure that they're not fostering on the cat side, or if it's a cat on the dog side, without having the 2, making sure that the 2 cage requirement is met. We also encourage them to ask, are you fostering anything else? This one got about 15 replies in 10 minutes, and I'm here, I don't have access to a spreadsheet. So I literally had to just do a lot of, are you fostering anything else right now? Are you fostering anything else right now? And sure enough, I found multiple that said, oh yeah, I've got a litter of puppies that I took from y'all last week that I know are sick already, so we sure don't want to send her home with that. So your foster placement people need to feel comfortable just asking. It's not going to make you feel stupid, it's not going to make you sound stupid to the people, just ask. And the other thing that we're finding is asking if they're fostering outside of our organization as well. Austin's a big city. There's a lot of rescue groups here, and there's a lot of people that want to help a lot of animals. And so we have to be really careful that we're not mixing Austin Pets Alive animals in with Austin Dog Alliance, who might have a distemper outbreak going that we didn't even know about, and now we've accidentally subjected puppies to distemper that we weren't even aware of. So a lot of the Austin Animal Center does not allow you to foster with them if you're fostering for another group. Austin Pets Alive, we don't want our dogs in homes with another rescue group. So we have to ask those kind of questions. They're not always upfront with us right away saying, I'm fostering for so-and-so, now I want to foster yours too. So just ask. We also have set up on our spreadsheet, and I'll show you the spreadsheet in a little bit, but on our spreadsheet we've also started an issues tab, and that's our place where we'll put people that we know often will have kittens, especially ringworm kittens, because the last thing we need to do is send a non-ringworm puppy into this ringworm kitten home that we know the kittens are running free and loose around, because now we have a ringworm puppy as well. So we have, on our spreadsheet, we have ways that we can help track that and make sure that we're not unknowingly subjecting animals to more things than they're already needing to be subjected to. So when you have an absent foster, this is a tough one. There's only so much we can do. These animals are in their homes, and we're relying on them to be within the parameters of what we have set up for them. We're relying on them to be honest with us. We're relying on them to want to market their animal. So we have started asking absent fosters, inactive fosters, things like that. We've started sending out surveys asking, why did you stop fostering with us? Was it something we did? Is it the animals that we were pulling you were no longer happy about? What's going on? And through that process, we've actually been able to find that some of them say, I just get too many emails. I don't like all the emails I get. So we've started doing our pleas where it's the daily digest, or these guys are on euthanasia today, things like that, because we used to send out just one plea per animal, and sometimes we're pleaing 30 animals, and that can get to become a lot. We also would ask them to go ahead and give us any of their updated info, any updated preferences that they may have. Did you used to want to do ringworm cats, but now you have a baby in the house, so you can't do ringworm anymore? What's going on? Did you adopt a dog so you're no longer our great no-dog foster that we can send any of our behavior dogs to? Things like that, and that's helped us get any of updates going on and able to stay in task with all of that. We also have, in emergency situations, have had me or Ellen Jefferson, our executive director, or Jerry Kapler, our volunteer coordinator, send out emails saying, okay guys, it's for real, we're desperate, it's flooding right now, kittens are coming from everywhere, we're not going to be able to take all of them in, we need help. And all of a sudden these absent fosters come out of the woodwork because they don't want those kittens to die, they don't want the puppies to die. And they're saying, okay, I can do this again for you, I can do another litter for you. Once you can get them in for one litter, who knows, maybe you have a really successful one time around again with them, you show them the changes that have been going on with the foster program, and you have a new foster again. So it's really important to not just delete them from your system because they want to be absent and don't want to be around anymore. Then part of that absent fosters is the non-compliant foster. We obviously don't want to work as hard to keep the non-compliant foster unless it's a non-compliance for something that they just didn't understand. Fostering can be complex. We give them so much written information. We expect them to read so much of it and understand so much of it that sometimes they get lost in all of it and they are embarrassed to reach out. They don't know who to reach out to. We have set up a dog foster mentor and coordinator system. Our coordinators actually send them emails and say, hey, you're due for this, you're due for that, reminders about surgery appointments. We will then also, if we can't get any responses from them, we can't get pictures or delinquent on vaccines, things like that, we will actually make some phone calls, and then unfortunately we'll go the legal letter route too. Hopefully it doesn't go past the legal letter route. It has a couple of times. At that point, we actually go ahead and outcome those animals to those fosters as stolen animals, and obviously then that foster is no longer a foster for us. The not promoting their foster animals, I don't understand that one, I really don't. I don't understand why fosters won't promote their animal, because who wants this animal forever in your home if you're going to be a foster? But it happens. So that's when it's really important to have a strategy. What do I do when somebody doesn't want to bring me their animal for pictures and videos and things like that? Set up a video team. We have some photographers. Thankfully, we have a really large group of photographers that don't mind traveling all over Austin, and we will actually have them set up appointments, go to the homes, get the pictures, get the videos. We run into sometimes they don't want to respond to the email inquiries. When we get hit with that too much, we just take the animal. We just have a forced surrender. It's obviously easier with puppies and kittens than big dogs. Big dogs, it's much harder because I have to create a big dog kennel somewhere. Puppies and small dogs and kittens you can put wherever for a night and then get them adopted the very next day. Not wanting to attend adoption events can also be another one. We have done some events where we've actually asked people, hey, you're not fostering anybody, but would you mind being a transport for animals that want to come to this event? And setting up where the transporters are fosters, volunteers that drive around and pick up the animals and bring them to the adoption events, try to get them adopted, and then transport them back. We just did a big Sweet Marks event, and we had two different dogs. Do you want her? We actually had two, she's getting anxious. We had two different dogs that got to come out that were just there with transporters. And it was great because these were dogs that fosters had to work. They work every weekend, and the only way for them to get these animals out to events is to have help getting them transported out there. So we wouldn't have known that if we hadn't reached out to the foster, though, and said, hey, you have not brought your foster to any of our events. We get them adopted, what's going on? And both times they said, I work every weekend, and nobody's ever asked me for a weekday event, what can I do? And we worked this out. So it's always good to reach out. Don't just assume that they're not wanting to come and they're not going to be compliant about it. Find out why they're not coming. Then the fosters who don't follow foster guidelines, our biggest one that we run into is the separation of animals. We tell them that they need to keep their animals separate for at least 7 days. We prefer longer. We tell them this dog does not get along with other dogs. Do not introduce it to your dog. All these different things that we tell them, and we really mean it. They say that they're going to follow it, and then sure enough, we get that email that says, the dog's just got in a fight. What do? I need to bring your dog back immediately. So we're still playing around with that right now, but one thing that I actually didn't put in here because I met with somebody last night about this and discussed it, we're actually considering writing up an addendum that they need to sign, a liability waiver essentially saying, I agree that I will not have this dog with my dog at all. If I do that, I accept full liability for anything that happens in this house, because we're getting some of them coming back saying, it's hurt, you need to fix your dog and my dog. Well, my dog wouldn't be hurt if you hadn't introduced it to your dog, also. So we're going to play around with some ways to handle that, but that is definitely one. We have talked about the necessity in each plea sent out. You've got to stress it, stress it, stress it. It must be kept separate, cannot be with another dog. We really mean it, cannot be with your cat. And then we've also talked about going ahead and having some probation periods for them. I'm sorry, we love that you're a great behavior foster, but we can't use you for 90 days for behavior fosters because you didn't comply with what we were saying. And then obviously, in the worst case scenario, we're sorry, but we can't use you as a foster anymore because you're just non-compliant with what we're doing and saying. And that stinks because you've just lost a foster home, but is it a safe home that you just lost, really? This one is the one that just aggravates me completely. I get this all the time. I'm looking up for who this person is. How are they getting my email? How are they responding? Oh, my friend that works for Dell forwarded me the foster plea, and I want to help that animal. So I'm ready to make this placement, and I'm going through, and I'm all the way over to the spreadsheet to try to match up this animal with this person, and I find out this person's not even a foster of ours. So you have to slow down, start the process over. So this one, we go through our spreadsheet every single time somebody replies to our foster plea, unless you know them, like I knew the people responding about little puppy here. If you don't know them, there were 4 different people on the plea that I didn't know, so I just didn't respond to them because I need to make sure that these people are in our database. Are they really fosters? When I find out that they're not, the first thing I ask them is, how did you get this plea? And I go ahead and get them set up as fosters because that does mean that they want to be fosters for us at least. We've also had another one that we've had some problems with is our friends and family. So our foster has a great puppy, and they go to their friend's house, and their friend says, oh, I love this dog. Let me keep it for you. I'll go ahead and foster it. And then a week later, said foster responds to another foster plea, and we say, oh, but you have so-and-so. Oh, no, my friend has it now. She's fostering it for us. So we have to obviously, get them to do a foster plea and go through all that. So again, all of these things are talked about in our screening process, in our paperwork process, in the agreements that they sign, and it's something that I think every rescue group will always have to deal with. Luckily enough, it's very minor amounts of them. It's 1% maybe, if that. We also have to watch shelter staff. Shelter staff here, I'm with APA. I'm here to foster, and they send the animal out. They don't know. So we're lucky, Austin Animal Center specifically will not release an animal unless they have received word from me or somebody else on the rescue group that somebody's coming to take a foster. So if you're finding yourself with this kind of issue, it might be worth you checking with your shelter that you pull from and say, hey, no, don't release animals to anybody unless you've gotten confirmation from us that this person is picking up this animal. We've got great do-gooders in Austin. They're great, but they're not going through the right process, and we need them to do so. Data management. This is my favorite. I'm all about the data. I go insane when the data doesn't match. I actually just got done helping a different rescue group who their computer system said they had 800 animals in foster, but their spreadsheet showed 94. So we did a big scrub and found all but about 150 of them, which is sad that there's 150 still in their system we can't locate. Data management's huge. We live data. Every single day. We're going through tracking tools every single day. What we use, our foster team has a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet, let me go to the page that actually has it so you can see it. Here we go. So here's our spreadsheet. Our spreadsheet, we use the foster name. We have their animal number, obviously their breed, their date of birth. We have set our spreadsheets up where it automatically figures in a lot of the information for us so that it's changing as the animal's age changes. And then all of the foster information automatically is fed in because we have down here a page called tab called All Dog Fosters, and every single foster is put in there with their name, their last name, their email address, their phone number, and it automatically feeds it into this page for us. But this is my Bible. Every day I go to this page and I make sure that every animal that's assigned in Pet Point as a foster is also on this spreadsheet. My foster managers are tasked at making sure that this is kept up to date constantly, because this right here has been what I have found to be the downfall of any rescue group that does not have accurate data. It's because they're not doing a tracking. They don't know where their animals are. We also, on our thing, will have if they have already had the case management letter sent, when their surgery day is, any mentor notes that are going on, and then if they're on the website yet. So that helps us figure out, okay, they're 10 weeks old, why aren't they on the website? So that's an indication to our adopt team that they need to start figuring out why this animal has not been marketed on the website yet. The mentor notes would tell them if there's something really crazy going on that excludes this animal from being able to be available. And then any kind of adoption notes. So this is something if sometimes we'll have somebody, an adopter, come up and say, I'm here to adopt an animal that's not on our list to be able to be adopted yet. I get calls if the dog foster adopt team can't get reached. I can go look at these adoption notes and I can see what's going on here. And I can find out if that person is really supposed to be the adopter or not. So this spreadsheet for me is my Bible. This thing, I don't know how anybody can function without them. Definitely important to have a reliable animal tracking software. We use PetPoint. I don't know, does anybody else in here use PetPoint? A lot of people. Are you using the paid version or the free version? Yeah, we just upgraded to the paid version. I haven't seen much differences really. Yeah. Without having animal tracking software, so you have a spreadsheet that's great, but you don't really have anything to match it to. And you don't have anywhere that all your central data for the animal is actually stored because your spreadsheet can only be so big. Otherwise, you start running into where do I list every single time they've had a shot, where do I list every single time that they've had a behavior note indicated, any behavior group assessments, any things like that. So our animal tracking software is huge. The reports that we can generate out of that help any shelter function. You can also get great reports for your foster program out of any of your animal tracking softwares. I'm not really familiar with a whole bunch of other ones. AAC uses Chameleon, and they seem to really like their Chameleon. You use PetPoint, don't you? Yeah. Part of a foster team is obviously having a foster manager. There's not enough time in anybody's day to do a foster program on their own. So we are lucky we have a foster manager that oversees the entire program. I have that foster manager is tasked with basically keeping my data up to speed. They are to look at the spreadsheet every day and balance it out. They balance it against any of the placements that were made the day before. We have, they balance against our end-of-day reports. Every group at Austin Pets Alive sends out an end-of-the-day report all the way down to just our medical clinic EOD even. Every single person has to send out an EOD report so we know what's going on all across the agency. And the foster manager uses those to help balance against anything on their spreadsheet as well. Sometimes they won't know that a puppy went into the clinic and died in the clinic. They won't get told that, unfortunately. The clinic is too busy. They forget to tell the foster team. So the foster team is able to get that information off of the medical clinic EOD. Also, they go through and they make sure that the tracking software matches the spreadsheet, make sure that the pictures have been received, that the bios are up, that the animal's available if old enough. And then they also follow up to make sure any legal letters that needed to have gone out, have they been resolved, has the time passed that now it's time to outcome, the animal is stolen, where are we at? So the foster manager is a very vital position to any foster program. It's also probably one of the more stressful positions because it's all on their shoulders and it's tough. This talks about our end-of-the-day reports. Little Farley there was helping me do them while playing Yahtzee, obviously. We have them sent out, like I said, for adoptions, foster moves, coordinator updates, anything that you can think of, we do an end-of-the-day report for. A foster placement team even does them just within themselves, saying, hey, so-and-so got placed, so-and-so didn't get placed, we need to get so-and-so placed, such and such. There we go. And then, of course, how do we get all of these animals adopted? That's a big one. We have been successful with lots of off-site events. I personally have found that bars and restaurants work best for pop-up events. Obviously, you've got your PetSmarts, your Petcos, your Tomlinsons, your mainstay type of events to have. But Austin Pets Alive is lucky. People want us there. They want us there desperately. We have to turn down events, actually, because we just don't have enough staff to do every event that we get asked to be at. So we go through them and we pick out, is it going to be one that we're actually going to have good success at? While doing that, we have found bars and restaurants to be our number one. We've been partnering up with Independence Brewing. They do a Pints for Pups. Then we've also been partnering up with ABGB. It's Austin Beer Garden Brewery. They have done a lot of things for us where they actually brew a special APA beer. We go out there once a quarter. We do huge adoption events. I've taken, at this particular event that I'm setting up at right there, I took 9 puppies and I came back with 2. And if I had had one more hour, I would have had those 2 adopted out as well. Naysayers are saying, but wait, you're at a bar, people are drinking, and you're adopting out puppies. We don't adopt them out to the drunk people. I've had people cuss me out because I would not adopt out to the drunk person. So we do still use the exact same care that we would use at the shelter. I've had drunk people come to the shelter and try to adopt a dog. So it doesn't matter where you're at, it's gonna happen. But if you think outside the box, taking animals to the PetSmarts is a great idea because they're there because they like pets, but they're probably there buying stuff for their pet though. So they may not want another pet. But you go to the bar and you're bringing the dog or the dog and the cat to the person there. They went there to have fun. They didn't even think about taking a dog home, but wow, they do want one. They've been thinking about it for the last 6 months. They just don't like to go to the shelter because the shelter is so overwhelming. There's too many there. It's so sad there. We don't like it there. So we've been able to find that by going here and doing these types of events, we've had a lot better success. So that's kind of all of that. I wanted to go back on the over here to the spreadsheet and leave this up because I know a lot of people, after I talked at the Best Friends Conference, I had more emails about just the spreadsheet than anything else. So I'm going to leave this screen up while we go through everything else that we're going to talk about. I wanted to also kind of touch base on behavior fosters. I didn't do a slide on it because it's something that's just so hard to talk about in writing. But behavior fosters are really, really crucial, and it's super important that you have a team of behavior fosters that you can rely on. We have, unfortunately, only about 4 to 6 big dog foster homes for behavior dogs, and then we have a lot that can deal with the small dogs. But it's really important that these fosters feel supported. We've lost a couple in the very beginning because they didn't feel like they had any behavior team support. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to stop Johnny from being so mouthy or how to stop the separation anxiety. So it's really, really important that your foster coordinator says, hey, this group right here, anytime they have a foster, they are a VIP foster. Your behavior, your medical, and your bottle baby, these are your VIP fosters. When an email comes in from that VIP, you respond like it's a VIP. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for everything you're doing. Let me make sure that we get the behavior team with you right away. Then you text that behavior team member, hey, this person's having some troubles. We can't afford to have that dog back here. Get in touch right away. All your teams are busy, so they can't always read every single email. So don't be afraid to text them and say, go check this email I just sent you. I'm connecting you with Johnny and his foster. Johnny just chewed through a whole nother crate and broke out of a window and is sitting at her front porch and she can't get him back in. She needs some advice on what to do. Medical fosters, not enough of them in the world. There's not enough people that want to be up all night long doing sub-Q fluids, tube feeding, injections. It's a scary thing. So when you have one, they're VIP and they need to know that. They need to be made to feel that way. Bottle baby fosters, definitely not enough of those in the world. You don't get any sleep, you get gray hair, you get bags under your eyes. I think that's where mine have all come from. I do the bottle babies, so I've done over 200 through my home, and it's not an easy task. And I tell anybody that wants to do it, I'm like, it's not easy, but it's rewarding. Your bottle baby fosters, they need to be made to feel super important too, because without them, either your operations manager is going to have all of them at her house, or they don't live. And that's, really sad too. Amanda from Bastrop Shelter here, she knows she's got a bunch of them at her house all the time. So while she tries to find fosters for them. So that's the crux of all I wanted to say. Definitely wanted to open